Ah, there you are. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Right, I've been messing around with the audio settings of this for the last, 15, 20 minutes. And I think there's still a bit of problem with distorting, even though my levels are showing that it's not peaking very much. But anyway, I'm hiding behind the microphone as well. Maybe I'll put the mic over here a bit. Well, it's Monday morning. It's the 9th of December 2019. We're a few days away from the general election here in the UK. Thank God it'll be all over on Thursday, eh? And on Friday we'll get a result on Friday, and then things will be back to the way things were on Thursday. It won't matter a damn what happens on Thursday, of course. But do keep me informed. I want to know, are you going to go out and exercise your franchise, are you? Are you going to vote, are you? You lousy bastards. Tell the truth. You are. You are. It does depress me, social media. It does depress me to see so many people getting caught up in it. You know, really getting vexed with the sharing of the articles that suit their point of view and the sharing of the articles that demonise the other side. Whether it's the right or the left. Will people ever learn? I don't know. I've been doing programmes like my radio programme for many years. We used to ask that question all the time. Will we ever reach tipping point when enough people realise that it doesn't make a blind bit of difference who you vote for? Anyway, nice to see you on the live chat there, on the super chat, live chat, whatever you want to call it. Double Bacardi and Coke. Sometimes it would drive you to it, but no, I wouldn't even have a double Bacardi and Coke this early on Christmas morning. Am I coming through loud enough? Can you hear me? Loud enough, because I've had to pull back everything here to avoid the distortion. Am I loud enough? I am. Pierre Robertson says, are you going to vote, Richie? Good man, Pierre. I know when I'm being ragged. I know when I'm being ragged. No, 2002, as I've often said, last time I went to vote in a general election. Somebody tell me if it's sounding okay, please. I can't monitor it. I should be able to plug a microphone into that, headphones into that, but it's not working. Yeah? Okay. Alrighty, good morning to Dave Coundley from Manchester. Coundley. That's a great name. Coundley. It's a great name, Dave. It's one I've not come across before. Let's have a look at the front pages of the newspapers. It's election-centric. It is. But there are some stories inside the papers today which have got nothing to do with the election. So we'll have a look through some of those. Eh? Good morning. Good morning. Too much gain still on the mic. Well, I can't do anything about that. There isn't too much gain. It's not that loud. It's distorting. This is a very expensive microphone. This is a new laptop. It was working fine last week. Nothing has changed. I've screwed around with it, the settings, and I don't understand why it's distorting. There's nothing I can do about it. I can bring myself back a little bit, but then I'll be worried if I do that you won't be able to hear me at all. And there's no joy in that, is there? You're not being able to hear me. Right, here's the front pages of the papers then today. Let's get into them. If I can minimise my screen there. Here's the Daily Mail. PM blasts Labour Brexit betrayal. So it's been said this morning that in the final couple of days of campaigning, the Conservative Party is going to focus on Labour seats in Labour constituencies where the people voted to leave the European Union. Now, funnily enough, Salford and Eccles is one such constituency. The people here, where I am at the moment, they voted to leave in great numbers, but the Labour, the sitting MP, a woman called Rebecca Long Bailey, she voted to remain. Horrible, odious little character, Bailey, Long Bailey. All dreadful. And I imagine this is one of the places we might be seeing Boris Johnson. There you are. Might get a knock on the door from Bojo, huh? Hey? Might get a knock on the door from Bojo. That'd be fun. Here's the Telegraph. Corbyn will betray Brexit, says Johnson, as he takes fight to Labour's heartlands. It's the same story. It's the same story. We've got things are happening with this computer. I'm not even asking it to do. Look at this. Well, you can't see it, of course. So that's the Telegraph. Johnson will go to those Labour areas where there was a big Leave vote and say, hey, Labour voters, they're a bunch of betraying, cheating bastards. Your Labour MP has let you down. Vote Tory and we will leave the European Union. Johnson is a pathological liar, a dangerous man, and as has been pointed out many, many times by myself, but also by luminaries such as Nigel Farage and others. Say luminaries, I don't have any time for Farage. The withdrawal agreement negotiated by Johnson is not leaving the European Union. It's a withdrawal agreement. Do you understand? The negotiations on future trading arrangements and close alignment and all of that, those have yet to take place. The Conservative Party will not take the UK out of the European Union. It will not. At the moment, what they are proposing is Brexit in name only. Only at the weekend, the European Union was saying, Brussels bigwigs were saying at the weekend, as was pointed out on the Andrew Marr show yesterday, they were saying, Brussels, well, in any future negotiations, we absolutely want access to your coastal waters. We want EU fishing vessels to be able to fish off the coast of the UK. And if you don't agree to that, well, we won't even, that's our starting point, basically. So don't think or imagine we're going to leave the European Union if you vote Conservative Party. Doesn't matter who you vote for, we're not leaving the European Union. Here's the Times. Johnson to blitz seats in Labour heartlands. Yeah. So the first three newspapers, Conservative Party supporting newspapers, the Mail, the Telegraph and the Times, all going with the same story. That story being that where Labour held seats voted to leave in the referendum, they're going to be targeted by the Conservatives. Number of new polls yesterday and today show the Conservative Party is maintaining around a 10-point lead on aggregate, meaning that in theory Johnson after Thursday should have enough MPs to form a majority government. But the polls have got it drastically wrong in the very recent past, not only back in 2017 of course, but also in 2015 and in the 2016 in-out referendum. The polls were hardly reliable. Did we do the Express? No. Here's the Express. Boris, the last chance to save Brexit and Britain. First four newspapers, Conservative Party supporting newspapers. Here's the Mirror. Picture that shames Tories. The picture of a little boy with pneumonia sleeping in a corridor in a hospital here in the UK because there weren't enough beds available for him. That's the front page of the Labour Party supporting Daily Mirror. Excuse me. We can look inside the Mirror and see that story. There he is. A troubling picture of 4-year-old Jack covered in coats on the floor with tubes coming out of him. Shame on the Tories. Number of Labour Party people were on national television this morning demanding an apology from Boris Johnson to the family. However awful Boris Johnson is it Johnson's fault? Is it exclusively his fault that the boy found himself on or on a trolley in a corridor? There you are. That's the Mirror. That's the big story there. Let's move on to the iPaper. Here is the iPaper. NHS waiting times ordeal for patients covered up. So that's a obvious headline, self-explanatory, that there's a cover-up basically in terms of trying to keep hidden the numbers of people who are waiting for important operations. Yeah. That's the iPaper. The Guardian. Let's have a look at The Guardian. In Sat Guardian, Corbyn in last-ditch drive to focus on voters' finances. Right, well, yesterday, as we talked about on Sunday View, the Labour Party, John McDonnell, the Shadow Chancellor, what did he announce? Well, he announced free social care for our OAPs. What is social care? Well, if you don't understand it, social care is the provision of essential care for senior citizens. It basically means sending somebody around to help senior citizens do certain things that they can no longer do for themselves. So it varies, of course, from senior citizen to senior citizen, depending on the motor skills of the old gent or the old lady, as it were, what they can and what they can't do. It's very important. Of course, people working all their lives, paying national insurance, paying taxes, are entitled to a bit of help, of course, in their old age. But it's it's a joke in this country. Care for the elderly. We know that. We've covered it quite a bit on the radio show. The Labour Party promising that older people won't have to worry about it anymore if they get in. That being said, though, they announced 10 billion quid for it, which even to the total uninitiated or uneducated is a drop in the ocean, maybe, to what might be needed to help fund providing that sort of social care for OAPs. It was also brought up on Sunday View yesterday that the vast majority of people who work in care are in fact immigrants. It's the damn immigrants again. It's the immigrants. It's the damn immigrants. I made the point yesterday, and I did get one email accusing me of xenophobia. I said, listen, we had a next door neighbour. She was in her mid-90s, and a carer came to visit her 3 or 4 times a week. Eventually, our neighbour sold her house. She had no dependents. Her husband had passed on many years before, and she had no children. So she sold her house, got a pretty sum for it, and then basically organised a lovely care home for herself to spend the rest of her days in. But having witnessed that, and she had a young black woman caring for her, a young black English woman. And I was making a point yesterday, it's very important, I think, that when we send people in to care for people with dementia, particularly with dementia and other, I suppose, similar conditions, that they're not somebody with a heavy accent or somebody for whom English is not their first language. You know, that's not being xenophobic or being a little Englander. I'm an Irishman, for fuck's sake. That's just common sense. Massive shortages in the amount of carers working because the money is appalling and the conditions are sometimes terrible. And by conditions, I don't mean the homes, or I don't mean the people that need visiting. I mean the working conditions between the companies that employ the carers and the carers themselves. Shocking. We have hundreds of thousands of young, unskilled men and women in this country. You know, train them. Show them that you can't do a more noble job than look after people who've given, who've worked hard, paid into the system, believed all the bullshit. The best thing you can do, I think, is help care for people when they can no longer do certain things for themselves. So pay people well enough to do it and get young English people doing it. Jesus Christ. They might learn something from spending a bit of time with our OAPs, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Let's have a look at the Sun. Nightmare says the Sun waking up to Corbyn as PM on Friday the 13th would just be the start of a nightmare. The Sun on Sunday ran the same headline yesterday. What a boring shower of bastards at the Sun. Same nonsense they've been running for the last few days. That's the Sun. We'll leave that there. Financial Times. Nothing in the Times for us today, really, is there? Beijing workers removal of foreign PCs and software. Yeah, there's a picture of Johnson and Sajid Javid, the Chancellor, at a call centre where they were phoning people at random, cold calling people to ask them to consider voting for the Conservative Party. That must have been a nice cold call to receive from Boris Johnson. And the Star newspaper today goes with a major incident. Row as Fawlty Towers racism on telly again. It's not racist! Fed up of it. Fawlty Towers, do I need to say? One of the BBC's greatest triumphs. Marvellous writing, marvellous performances. Connie Booth, of course, writing it with John Cleese. The supporting cast. Prunella Scales, of course. Manuel. John Sachs, was it, played Manuel. The Major. One of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And when it comes on television these days, I crease up laughing at it. It never ever gets old. And the Major's got a bit of dementia. Maybe he doesn't. They never mention in the show if he's got any, Parkinson's or dementia or anything like that, or Alzheimer's. But he's a bit mad, the Major. And Fawlty Towers is in the 1970s. And the Major is a retired military man. He drops a couple of clangers every now and then in the show. And one of them was when he gets confused at something Basil Fawlty says about Indians. And the Major says, I saw an Indian once. And then he says it was at the Oval. Cricket. And then they talk about, they use the term wogs, don't they? Well, Major says wog, and then he says nigger. He says wog and nigger. Those people are not wogs, he says, or something like that. They're niggers. Yes, it's not. We wouldn't put up with it these days. But that was those days. Right? You can't airbrush stuff out of history. It's the way people spoke, rightly or wrongly, at that particular time. But because Fawlty Towers is on Netflix, and because it's on UK Gold, the snowflakes are complaining because it hasn't been censored. Those particular scenes with the Major using those particular terms are still there for people to see. Oh God, let's protect people from hearing the Major say the word wog. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, right? Right. The Star. Okay. I saw an Indian once, Fawlty, at the Oval. Right. Good morning, by the way. Good morning. Thanks to, again, if there is a little bit of distortion here on this, I can't do anything about it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's a YouTube issue or because all systems are good here, so I apologise. Good morning to Anne Gladman, who loved Fawlty Towers. Loves Anne. In the present sense. Loves. It's a brilliant TV show. Never gets boring. Hi to Bob Wimpany. Corbyn has been asking Eskimos to move to Britain as we need more diversity, says Bob Wimpany. Yeah. Lovely. Right, I won't dwell too much on the comments. Got to move on. I've got a crazy busy day today, by the way. Just give you a heads up. I'm doing a live show with Jason Bermas at 3 o'clock UK time today. I think it's 3 anyway. He's asked me to do it because he's doing 24 interviews in 24 hours as part of some awareness about YouTube and YouTube's policies changing. YouTube have recently announced that, well, Google has because it owns YouTube, that if they feel channels are not commercially viable, they reserve the right to delete them. Yes, of course. Again, nothing that I haven't predicted in the recent past. So I'm doing something with Jason Bermas. So what it might mean, I've got a brilliant guest lined up on the radio show later on today. It might mean the radio show might start a little later, but I will be on because I might need a bit more prep time after agreeing to do this thing with Jason Bermas. You'll be able to watch me with Jason Bermas if it's of any interest to you. Jason should be of great interest to you because he's a very interesting guy. But you'll get a bit of Richie Allen saturation today. You might be a bit fed up with me by the end of the day. So just to give you the heads up on that. Right, let's have a look at one or two stories inside. It's 8 minutes to 10, December 9th, Monday. By the way, my Christmas plans, just to give you a heads up. I will finish on Monday, December 23rd. So there will be a Richie Allen show on Monday, December 23rd, as usual. And then you won't hear from me again until Sunday, January 5th. Okay? Wednesday is a national holiday, Wednesday the 1st. Thursday, I could come back on Thursday the 2nd, but I won't. I'm going to have a few days off, and I'll be back with you on Sunday, January 5th, okay? So the last radio show is December 23rd, and I'll be back with you then on Sunday, January the 5th. And between the time I leave you and the time I come back, I'll turn 45 years old. 45, be Jesus. This is all over the place this morning. Anthony Burke. Anthony, bit of a feckin' Egypt. Anthony's not able to go to football matches without losing his fucking mind. Then again, he's not on his own. I see people at football matches. We go to Salford, Tez and me, and we have these season tickets for Salford City. And we have lovely seats just near the tunnel. Great value. 125 for the whole season. 22 games, I think, or 20 games. Marvellous. So we sit there, 4 rows ahead of us. There is an insufferable fucking arsehole. There is, but we put up with him. You know, we kind of close our ears to him. There's always one screaming abuse at people, effing and blinding. This guy was caught on camera seemingly, it does look like he was, gesturing to a Manchester United supporter. This is in the Manchester Derby on Saturday afternoon at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. And late on in the game, this guy was caught on camera looking like he was making monkey gestures to Fred. That, if it's true, because everybody's entitled to a defence, right? But apparently not in the era of trial by fire / trial by Twitter, trial by social media, where you get heroes, bedwetting heroes, who normally hide in their mother's laundry basket, fucking cowards who tweet behind pseudonyms, asking Twitter to do your thing, to destroy this guy's life and destroy his family, all because he's a fucking Egypt. Well, being a fucking Egypt is not a capital offence yet, thankfully, right? Right? Now pile in on me if you're black, pile in on me, I don't give a shit. Because I'm going to tell you something now. A guy who makes monkey gestures at a black man is a fucking idiot. I mean, there's no defending it. But is that it now for him, is it? Is that it for the man? Is he finished? As a human being, is he done? Is that him for the rest of his life? Is he going to be defined forevermore because he lost his fucking mind at a football match and did something he shouldn't do? Is it unforgivable? Is his situation in life irredeemable? Well, apparently fucking yes, in this new era of let's destroy him on Twitter. Twitter, do your fucking thing. How about you do your thing? How about you grow a pair of fucking balls and go and find this guy outside his house in Manchester if you're fucking tough enough? Cowards. Cowards. Bullies. Bullies. Miserable bastards on Twitter. Yes, he's an arsehole. Yes, he's a moron. And yes, Manchester City should probably stay if he's guilty of it. Because he's entitled to defend himself. He's entitled to be heard. We might hear him, and then we might say, you lying bastard. I've seen the video, pal. We might do that. Or we might listen to him and go, all right, so you were drunk and you'd had a bad day and you're a dickhead and you didn't really mean it. All right. Well, I'll tell you what then. We're going to ban you from the ground for a year. And we're going to take your season ticket off you. Forever. Next year, you're going to have to apply for tickets like everybody else. You don't go making monkey fucking gestures at anybody. Do you understand me? And then you give the guy a chance to redeem himself. But no, not in the era of trial by Twitter. Nobody gets a chance to redeem themselves. Ever. You're finished. You're gone. You're evil. Of course, the real reason this sort of thing is happening is it's to program the fucking minds of everybody else. Everybody that's observing it. Look at what happens if you step out of line. Look at what happens if you step out. It doesn't have to be racism. It doesn't have to be making monkey gestures. It could be anything. It could be talking up. It could be talking about vaccines. It could be talking about false flag terrorism. It could be talking about anything. Look what happens. You get ostracised. You get destroyed. That's what it is. This guy might be an arsehole, right? Right? But come on. You know what made me sick? And I know I've got black people watching this. This notion that Fred, this young footballer, there he is, Fred. You can see Fred there. I have a lot of time for old Fred. You know why? Because former Manchester United players have been, well, saying some very unpleasant things about poor Fred in recent months. That he was useless, that he was, out of his depths, that he had no business being there, that he was a bit of a joke. Some of the criticism bordered on bullying, I would say. But old Fred there got his fucking act together. He's playing really well. Young man, multi-millionaire, plays for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. And this notion that he had to be consoled. Fred had to be consoled and apologised to because some fucking dope went like this to him. Really? Really? Somebody should listen to Raheem Sterling, the Manchester City player. Take a leaf out of his book, How You Deal with These Morons. You laugh in their face. How could you be hurt or injured or devastated by some fucking drunk fat fucker in a crowd going, ooh, 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 ooh? Really? This thing, he had to be consoled. Why don't we console the fucking racist? Why don't we go to the guy making all the gestures and say, I really feel sorry for you, pal. I'm sorry that you're such a fucking idiot, But this is a much deeper story than just a football story. People are being conditioned through their observation of how these things are dealt with. Anyway, that's just what I feel about it. Then you have people like Gary Neville, what a cock, and others in the studio. Oh, it's terrible, and thought we'd eradicate it. We have eradicated it. It's one arsehole. There was 50,000 people there. The day that we see the West Stand, and we see men, women and children going, ooh, 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 ooh. When we fucking see that, then I will say, oh, well, we haven't eradicated it really. But when you got one guy, just one guy, it's a case of, there's always going to be a dickhead. Doesn't matter where you are in life, doesn't matter where you are, there's always one. There's always one. Right, let's move on from that story. It's everywhere today. Loads of stories about Prince Andrew in the press this morning. Shall we quickly run through them? Here's the Times. Second woman claims Duke was dancing at club. We know this. Lawyers acting on behalf of Virginia Giuffre have said that a very credible second woman has come forward to say she was in Tramp nightclub and saw Giuffre and Andrew together. That's in the Times, right? However, Prince Andrew's friends, whom are never named, they never named them, at least I don't think so, not today anyway. They've cast doubt on these claims, asking who remembers all those years ago. Well, the fact is, he's a very famous man. He's a member of the royal family. It is conceivable. It is. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying it is conceivable that because of his public profile, that 16 or so years ago, or 18 years ago, somebody might remember seeing him with Virginia Roberts Giuffre. But his friends are saying, oh, I can't believe anybody can remember back that far. Well, why not? Why not? What else do we have about them? We have the picture. So Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell were at Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party. There they are. Hey, by the way, do you know what we watched last night? Because there was nothing else to watch. We watched The Burning. Do you remember The Burning? 1981 horror film. Do you remember that? About the caretaker, Cropsey, who was badly burned in an accident when he was pranked by some summer camp revelers. And then Cropsey comes back a few years later to a nearby camp and starts killing the teens, the little teeny boppers, one by one. Do you remember that? Well, I didn't. I saw the film when I was younger. I had no idea that the film was written by Harvey Weinstein and was produced by Harvey Weinstein. And his brother Bob Weinstein was heavily involved as well. And Miramax made the film. And 2/3 of the cast are young Jewish men and women. And watching The Burning, some of the scenes, some of the camera angles, some of the shots, some of the cinematography is very, very lurid. Isn't it? Watch The Burning back again and watch it realising that it's a Harvey Weinstein film, one that he wrote. It's fairly lurid now, even for a slasher teen horror in the early 1980s. We noticed that last night. Lots of pictures of legs and ankles of very young girls and breasts and stuff like that. And we were like, this is a Harvey Weinstein picture. Yeah. Yeah, The Burning. So the Mirror is full of that today. There he is, Andrew, pictured in his interview with Emily Maitlis. Lots of Andrew stories. I get the impression that a lot of tabloid editors don't like Prince Andrew. I'm not certain that they're really crusading for justice on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I get the impression that because Andrew is a notorious wanker, and a number of journalists have said this in recent weeks, that he's horribly unpleasant, very difficult guy to deal with, treats people with contempt. I wonder what is the real motivation for the tabloid pursuit of Andrew. Is it because they want, as I said, justice for Epstein's victims, or is it because they just think Prince Andrew's a bit of a cock? It might be the latter. Hollywood is a front for paedophilia, says Ghost Gaming. It's not a front for paedophilia. No, it isn't. That it is definitely not. Has paedophilia gone on, and is it going on in Hollywood? Absolutely no doubt in my mind it is, my friend. I agree with you there, but it's not a front for paedophilia. Hollywood is a license to print money. And it's also a money laundering city, isn't it? It's a money laundering town. Yes, paedophilia for sure. We know that. I interviewed Isaac Cappy, didn't I? Before his untimely demise. And Corey Feldman was within a hair's breadth of coming on the Richie Allen radio show. Had agreed to it and was going to come on, and then at the last minute decided he didn't want to do it. Fair enough. What else have we got for you today? If you're looking for that special thing to buy for your loved one for Christmas, something totally unique that nobody else has, how about Jimmy Savile's former license plate? Did you see this? Did you see this, I tell you? You can have Jimmy Savile's former license plate if you want. Here it is. A trader is selling Jimmy's number plate for £25,000, but the guy neglected to tell anybody that it was Jimmy's. It was Jimmy's. Yeah. The secret trader put the advertisement in a Sunday newspaper and branded the plate JS247 as a cherished plate for Christmas. Jimmy Savile 24/7. Jimmy Savile raping men, women and children and OAPs in care homes 24/7. So if you want that special gift that nobody else has, there you are. There's the record-breaking paedophile himself. He always looked disgusting, Jimmy Savile. As a young man growing up, obviously I knew nothing about his crimes. Nothing. But I always found him as a young man, you know, in my very, very, very early days, like 9, 10, 11, 12, watching the BBC, watching Jimmy Savile, I found him unbearably difficult to look at. And that's not me saying, that's not about finding somebody ugly. That's about looking at somebody and knowing there's something very fucking wrong with him. But I didn't know anything about him or what he was doing until after he died. But disgusting looking man, right? Even going way back, yeah. Yeah, he was horrible, yeah. Like, I never wanted... They said the children dreamed about going on Jim Will Fix It. Now, obviously I grew up in Ireland, so we couldn't write to Jim because we were in Ireland, and it was a UK television programme. But there was nothing... I was never envious. We used to watch it just in case one of the children wanted to go to a football club as their Jim Will Fix It. I used to watch it for that reason only, really. But I never... Savile was disgusting, you know. Wasn't he? Hey, speaking of Prince Andrew, according to the Mirror today, this is interesting now, Ghislaine Maxwell is in negotiations with US television companies or company to do an interview in defence of Prince Andrew. Oh, I bet you some of the United States' most prominent news anchors and journalists, oh, I bet you they're chomping at the bit, as it were, to get the gig to go and interview Maxwell. It's a career-making opportunity, isn't it? A career-defining interview. Yeah. So, Ghislaine, what first attracted you to the filthy paedophile Jeffrey Epstein? Question number 1. Put her on the back foot straight away. That's what you do when you interview these people. There's no gentle beginning. Go straight in there. Straight in there. I remember before interviewing the monumental fraud Ken O'Keefe, there's going to be some news on Ken O'Keefe real soon, by the way. I'll be breaking some news on Ken O'Keefe real soon. Watch this space. But Ken, of course, was a monumental fraud. Set up fake charities, swindled money. I remember before interviewing him, David Icke said, are you going to go gentle into it? Just kind of ease him into it before you go for his throat. And I said, no. The first question was, why did you try and blackmail Max Egan, Ken? Straight in there. No fucking around. You've only got limited time, you know. Put him on the back foot straight away. That's Interviewing 101 by Uncle Richie this Monday morning. Straight in there. Don't hang around. Climate change. Ireland. There's the Irish Times. It's getting serious now. And I will be speaking with a man called Terry. Jesus Christ, Richie, get your head screwed on. I'll be speaking with a man called Tony Heller, who's a US academic. Tony Heller, very interesting man. Very qualified man, very qualified. And Tony's going to join me on the Richie Allen radio show later on to talk about climate change. Now here's the Irish Times. Ban on turf and other smoky fuels being considered by the coalition government. When are people going to stand up to this? The answer is never. Tragically. That's what I'm going to be leaving you with this morning. The answer is never. People are never going to stand up to it. Identity politics rules now. People are so consumed by their sense of self more than ever before that the chances now of people coming together and leaving their egos and their personalities at the door but coming together to take on tyranny, that boat sailed a long time ago. It's not going to happen. This is fucking lunacy in Ireland. This is lunacy. This is economy destroying lunacy, this nonsense being proposed by the coalition government. Let's get a public consultation and let's bring in some climate experts and let's consider a ban on any fuel that makes smoke. Ireland, vassal state of the European Union. That's all it is. Not a country anymore, not a sovereign nation. The Irish are dead. Romantic Ireland is dead and gone, said a famous man over 100 years ago. Gone! Nothing left of my country. No rebellion. You get called a racist now in Ireland if I saw a Twitter exchange between two people whom I know nothing about. Nothing. Saw a Twitter exchange. Some guy is representing Ireland internationally in some sport, but he just arrived from Eritrea. He's about as Irish now as fucking Swiss cheese, right? but he's going to be representing Ireland. And some guy on Twitter understandably said, what the fuck is happening to Ireland? Are we that desperate to win fucking tournaments now? Or to do well in sports? You know? That we're taking people who've only been in the country a wet day, nationalising them, claiming that they're Irish, putting a green, white and gold jersey on them and sending them out to compete for Ireland at the expense of an Irish athlete who might not do well, but at least they're fucking Irish, right? And I can understand this. You xenophobic bastard, Richie. Do you know what? Will we ever get back to the place where we could talk without descending into absolutes and descending into what I would call kind of binary choice method? Binary choice, you know. It's what we're getting into now. Reducing everything, no matter how complex, reducing it to a couple of simple absolutes. And you're either with it or you're against it. Well, maybe not. Maybe I can see both sides of it. This guy from Eritrea, yeah, all right, he's living in Ireland now, getting on with his life, yeah, fair enough, yeah. Why shouldn't he play sport? But on the other hand, he's not really Irish, is he? And, you know, no, you have to be either for or against. Do you like Blur or do you like Oasis? I like both of them. You fucking can't! I remember this in the mid-90s. Are you Blur or are you Oasis? You couldn't be both. This has been around for years, binary choice. But now it's infested every fucking aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. Hasn't it? You know? It was around when I was in my teens. How can you like Bruce Springsteen and Patsy fucking Cline? Well, I can. I love listening to Patsy Cline. Her music soothes me. She's got the most amazing voice of all time. But then I can listen to Iron Maiden in 2 minutes to midnight. You can't! You fucking can't! Well, I can, and I will. It's infested. It's infested our discourse, hasn't it? This lunacy. I noticed this on Twitter yesterday, arguing over this. And of course the guy who said that the Eritrean national, who is now an Irish national, been in the country for less than 2 years, the guy questioning it was obviously denounced as a xenophobic, fucking racist. Maybe he's not, you know. But this is where it's going, and it's designed to program you not to say a fucking thing. Don't say a thing, ever, unless you go through about 500 tweets and get it pre-approved. Look and see what everybody else is saying. Look and see what everybody else is saying, and then you say that. Don't say anything else, though, because we'll fucking ruin you. We'll come for you. We'll have cowards on Twitter going, Twitter, do your thing. I'll fucking do you, you prick. You want to be a tough guy. I went through this 6 months ago, of course, when I had my spat with the UK Zionist lobby, threatening me, using their fucking false names, their pseudonyms, tough guys. And I said to them, there's a big patch of land in Manchester and South Manchester called Hoff End Playing Fields. There's about 30 football pitches there. On a windswept Sunday morning, there's never anybody there. I'm always there with my dog. Come and fucking see me if you're hard enough. These Twitter heroes, these Facebook heroes, trying to destroy people's lives for making a mistake. Like that Egypt who was at the game on Saturday. An Egypt! But does he deserve to be destroyed? Does his family deserve to be getting death threats? Because he did that? Because he's a dickhead? Let's finish with something that is mildly amusing. Bit of Patsy Cline, bit of Iron Maiden, followed by a bit of Max Bygraves. Here's the mail. Going to finish with this, and this story is from my friend John, and he is a pal, John, on social. I've never met John on social media. That's John Roherty. How you doing, John? John, this is for you. This made me laugh. The Italian mafia. The Italian mafia is getting all woke on us. And they're letting in the gays. Being a homosexual was at one time a veritable death sentence if you were in the mafia. Just ask Vito Spatafor. Poor Vito. In the Bermuda Triangle somewhere. His wife's cousin, Philly Leotardo, took exception to Vito's homosexuality. That was a great storyline in The Sopranos, wasn't it, back then? Great storyline. Vito, gay man, and trying to keep it private, was discovered and was then murdered, tragically forward in the show. The Italian mafia are not frowning so much on gay men anymore because one of the bosses has got a son who lives as a drag queen. Brilliant. In tough times, when you're running out of button men and hired guns, take anybody, why not? Who'd suspect the gay guy? You know what I mean? There you go. That's in the Daily Mail today. Lovely. Right, that's about it for the papers. Is it? It is. The Italian mafia has gone all woke on us. Good for them. Good for them. Right, 10:20. I've got to go. Things to do. I'll be on Jason Bermus's YouTube channel at 3 o'clock, I think. Excuse me. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself, like, you know. He's invited me on. I'm going to be there for about an hour, I think. And that's why I might be a little bit late. Might be around 5:30 when we get to the radio show today. Might be. I might need that bit of time because there's lots going on. But I do have Tony Heller. He'll be on with me for an extended interview about climate madness. And Tony is very, 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 very interesting. He's an academic of real credibility. And he takes on, using his YouTube channel and his website, Real Climate Science, he takes on this nonsensical climate change agenda. So there you are. We've heard from John, have we? John says, funny stuff, Richie. I'm half Italian, but my Irish side would never get me in. I'm not a purebred, so my gay card will do the trick, says John. Absolutely right. Vito Spatafor, I remember that. What would you call it? That storyline. Yeah. Right. Okay. That's it for me for today. For this morning. Thanks for tuning into this. I'm going to try and get somebody over to look at the settings, so you're not getting so much distortion. But I wish I could use. I can't do it, can I? No, I can't. Yeah, all right, okay. Right, I'm away. I'll see you at 3 o'clock with Jason Bermus. If I don't see you there, the Richie Allen Radio Show a bit later on. Stay in touch with me through Twitter because that's where I will update you on what's going on. Bye.